So a couple weeks back, I picked up the ever so loved Nikon ZR to replace one of the cameras in my system. And I just wanted to share a little bit about my experience so far using the camera and kind of how I see it fitting into my workflow as a full-time wedding filmmaker. Right off the bat, this is not going to be a technical review or a gear review. If you want all the specs that this camera has and every single little detail about it, go watch one of the other 100 videos that everybody copy and paste the same formula, just going through the specs. I'm not going to do that. So if you want that, you're not going to find it here. So for the past 3 years, I have been pretty much exclusively a Sony shooter. My main camera for weddings is the Sony FX3. I had a FX30 that was my B cam, and my C cam was a Lumix S5 that I had from years ago. So I was kind of in the market for a replacement for that, and I was really hoping to upgrade to the Sony a7 IV or FX3 Mark II. And I was kind of waiting to see what Sony would do this year before we move into the 2026 year of weddings. And honestly, I was kind of disappointed with Sony's releases this year, with the FX2 being a huge letdown for me, and then the a7 IV just not really bringing enough to the table video-wise for me. And I made the jump. I decided to go with a Nikon after a lot of mixed reviews from people online and people raving about Red Raw, and also just because it's a really cool little camera. Also, just a little note, everything that you are watching, this whole video I'm filming on the ZR right now with Sony lenses adapted to it using the Megadap E to Z adapter, and it looks great. Autofocus works pretty great on this thing, and I've been really impressed with just the way that I've been able to adapt all of my Sony lenses. I think it looks great, and I'm really stoked about it. So I'm in the middle of editing the video right now, and I just realized that I had shot a little coffee making sequence in Red Raw, just of my wife pulling a shot of espresso, and I edited that and color graded it, so I'll share that with you here as well now. I've owned this camera for 3 weeks now. Just this past weekend, I used it in the first wedding kind of scenario. I was in Florida, second shooting for a good friend of mine, Ethan B. Films. We took the couple out the night before the wedding for a little creative shoot, creative session, and I shot the entire thing on the Nikon ZR in Red Raw 6K. So this was my first time really seeing what the camera could do in a wedding type scenario with portraits, and they sat down and read letters, and it's the first time I've used it in the context of a wedding or with a couple, and I have a few pretty big takeaways from it. I think one of the most glaring things to me is that I bought this camera knowing that I wasn't going to shoot Red Raw on a wedding day, and I don't think I ever would shoot Red Raw for a full wedding day. The file sizes are simply just too massive, and the color grading workflow is a little bit too much for what I like to do for weddings. Like I said, I've shot with Sony and used S-Log3 now for the past 3 or 4 years, and the color grading workflow with S-Log is just so simple, so streamlined. And I do think that for a wedding film, Red Raw is a little bit overkill, but really the biggest thing is just the file size. The images look incredible, but the file sizes are really the nail in the coffin for me. Right now, the Nikon won't be replacing my FX3. Where I would use this camera a lot in the context of weddings is for stuff like you're seeing now, like a creative session. Everything looks great. The flexibility you have with RAW is really special, and I'm still very much learning how to color grade it. I think I honestly could have exposed all of this a little bit brighter. Some of the shots were a little bit dark, but there is a bit of a learning curve with coloring raw that I'm still very much in the process of learning, but it's fun. It's fun to be stretched and challenged and pushed, and I've been enjoying it. Another reason that this would never really take over as an A cam for me in my workflow is the lack of dual recording. And for some of you might not care about this, I have had Sony cameras for a long time, and every wedding I've shot, I've dual recorded onto 2 card slots. It's just a simple fail-safe for me that if something happens to one of the cards, I have a backup. Everybody knows that. Seems like a simple thing. I do understand that CF Express Type B is supposedly more reliable than SD cards or CF Express Type A, but it still is something in the back of my mind that's just a little bit nervy, not having an instant backup. It is what it is, and realistically on wedding days, this camera, the ZR, is primarily going to be used as a tripod camera, my C camera, for a third angle. It's not the end of the world if something terrible happens, but again, like I said, CF Express Type B is supposedly more reliable, so I'm not too worried about it, but I think if I was using it as an A cam on a wedding day, it would be in the back of my mind a little bit. Now, I've hit on some of the negative things about kind of how it looks in my workflow, but there are a lot of huge positives. First off, it's a phenomenal run and gun camera. The massive screen, and everybody talks about it, but I am telling you, this screen is massive, like huge. It's a big one. It's a big boy. I can't ever go back and use my Sony monitor ever again after using this one. It puts it to shame. This monitor is massive on it. Props to Nikon for being the first to put a big screen on it, aside from maybe Blackmagic, but I don't know why more companies don't do this. I don't know why Sony hasn't. If Sony doesn't put a bigger screen on the FX3 Mark II, they're gonna look stupid. The screen is massive. It was a joy using it for the creative shoot that I shot on this camera, and I shot the whole thing handheld without a monitor, only using the in-body screen, and it was more than bright enough. It was awesome, worked great. We were also filming in, southern Florida. It is December, so it wasn't super hot. It was still low to mid 80s when we were filming. And I didn't have any really long clips that I was shooting. I think the longest clip I shot was maybe around 20 minutes in red raw. And it was in the bright sun, but there was no signs of overheating whatsoever. And that was in red raw 6K, 24 frames per second. And it wasn't until after the shoot that I realized I didn't even have the overheating protection thing, like auto shut off, set to high. It was still set to standard, and I never got a warning at all. So I really think that this camera has some good internal cooling. Whatever magic they're doing to keep it cool without a fan is working, and I really don't think you're going to run into an issue overheating unless you are shooting red raw 60p in 110 degree weather. Then maybe you'll have an issue. But if you're shooting red raw 60p for 40 minutes, what are you actually doing? Never shoot a ceremony in 60p. That's kind of stupid. The other big thing is that it has internal 32-bit float audio, which is huge. Not many other cameras have this. Sony, just do it. It's simple, easy to do. I don't know why you haven't added this yet. 32-bit float is awesome. It sounds great. Add it to more cameras. And I know I kind of touched on this as like a negative thing, but it also is one of the biggest positives of this camera is that it does have the ability to shoot in red raw, which is an amazing codec. It is an amazing color profile, color space, and it retains so much info. I think when you get red raw to look really good, it looks a lot better than what the Sony FX3 can produce. But it takes a little bit more work to get it there, and it's a little bit more tedious of a process. Again, just having the ability and the flexibility to choose to shoot in such a broad and awesome color profile and codec is amazing. Like, and even beyond that, being able to shoot in ProRes RAW and NRAW, and soon ProRes 422 LQ, hopefully, that is a huge benefit to this camera. I haven't shot too much in H.265, so if this looks like garbage, then that might be confirming people's theories, but To me, like this, it looks great on the monitor. I'm sure it's gonna look great when I edit it. I think it's kind of being overhyped. Is it softer than Red Raw? Yeah, absolutely it is. But for me, for wedding films, I soften my images anyways. I have diffusion on right now, 1/4 black satin. I'll occasionally add bloom with the enhancer in post, and I don't really love like a super crispy digital image. So if it's a little softer than other codecs, it's not the biggest deal for me. I would like to see it a little bit more consistent and a little bit higher quality, but again, it's not a deal breaker for me, especially for it primarily being a C cam that's going to be on a tripod for speeches or for ceremony. It's gonna look great, and it's not gonna be an issue for me at all, really. I got it with the goal of it being a tripod camera, a C cam primarily, but really I think I see this camera fitting into that space for wedding days, and then also using it as an A cam on creative sessions. So, you know, stuff before the wedding or after. And I also really see this camera being used a lot when it comes to like personal projects or things outside of weddings. I don't think it's built to be an A camera for events. And I really see this camera fitting into my workflow and into my kit as just a super creative and unique camera. Absolutely, it has the tools to get the job done on a wedding day as a B or C camera, for sure. Absolutely, it has the tools to be an A camera for creative sessions. Does it have shortcomings? Yeah, absolutely. Is it an awesome camera? Yeah, it's great. The biggest thing too is it's dirt cheap. If you're in the market for a camera and you're on a budget, this is a great camera. I love it. I think it's a really cool, unique camera. It definitely has its quirks, and it's definitely not perfect, but it's a solid camera, especially for the price, and I don't think you're going to be disappointed buying it. The plus side with this camera for me is that outside of weddings, this is going to be my A cam. Any projects, whether that's stuff for here on YouTube, passion projects, creative stuff, commercial work, like anything outside of weddings, being able to shoot in Red Raw in a controlled space is so cool, and it looks so good. If you're wondering whether you should buy this camera, I think you really have to take into account what you're going to use it for. If you're doing a lot of work outside of weddings, I think this is a really cool option. Or if you just want a camera that is really unique, really fun, and creates an image that looks really freaking good, then the ZR is an awesome choice, especially for the price point. What, $2,200? It's a freaking steal. I hope some of you at least found this helpful. I'm not one of those gear guys who obsesses over codecs or all the little tiny specs of the camera. The camera's a great camera. I'm more worried about how it actually functions and what the image looks like. And it functions great and the image looks awesome. So it's a good camera. I like it. If you found this helpful at all, leave a like. If you're buying the ZR, comment down below why you're buying it. If you're not, tell me why not either. If you think that the ZR is a stupid camera, tell me why. Comment something or just say hello. Up to you. No pressure. You don't need to. Whatever. But all right. That's all. Bye-bye, ZR. Peace.